9, 8.
You're watching The Experience Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Welcome to Minute To Skim It. I see the Triple B's already in the room. Thank you, man, for your support. Do you guys see that it is something less than 106 today, so I have to put on a sweater?
Less than 106 where you are.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I had to stand in a parking lot today and jumpstart a car. It's way over 106 here.
Ugh.
Even though it might only be 90, it feels like it's about 115.
Well, you know what's hot today? Comics.
I don't know.
So many good comics.
See, I got this new bottle, so everything is cool.
Speedos is here. Well, my friends, thank you so much. We're going to be reviewing the books that are coming out this week, and in some cases, I missed out the fact that some of them are second print, so I'm reviewing books that have been out for a month. Hey, reviews.
Hey, I think I'm reviewing a book that's been out since May. So.
Well, and some of the release dates are so different in actuality from what they've been advertised as doing. Because we had a discussion about one from Red 5. It really is its release date.
Right. No, that's exactly it. Well, and I think part of it is that Dynamite releases things on dates when they feel like, not when they're actually supposed to. So...
Okay.
And by feel like, I mean, there's a time when, like the book I read, it probably came out back in May to the book market because it's not actually a Dynamite book. It's one of the imprints that they partner with to do kids' books. So I think it hit the book market in May and hit the comic market this week.
Yeah.
But it's still confusing.
I overachieved today. I'm not going to even lie. There were another 5 that I really wanted to read, but I was like, this is going to get ridiculous. So
I was going to read more as well, but after I got through the 6 books I told Jay I would read, I set my iPad down on my chest to close my eyes for 5 minutes and woke up an hour later.
So, you know what's going to happen.
Every time.
You know, alarm never went off, nothing. So real quick before we get into this, though, you know, we've been talking about this show not being on the Experience Live on Tuesday nights anymore and being over on the Space Cadets page. And there was some confusion about that. So I want to start throwing this into the comments. There's the link for Space Cadets. Go follow that page. That's Miss Jen's page. She's the boss there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever don't see us here, go over there.
Yes. Hypothetically, we'll always be here also.
Right. But you never know what's going to happen. Things change.
Don't freak.
So let's get started here with this Michigas.
Hey, my name matches my sweater. I'm just saying.
It's Kismet.
Yeah. So I have there's a cool new cover out for Berserker Poetry of Madness. The thing I have to say that I love so much about the cover in both cases is he's wearing this nice red armor, which if you're a fan of Bram Stoker's Dracula, funny, the movie that he was in, starring as a different character than Dracula. And the people gave him, Keanu Reeves, such heck about his inability to, you know, speak with an English accent. I just think it's funny that they're tongue-in-cheek and putting him in this armor, knowing that this is true. He has to know that this is a joke. He has to be in on it, right? So, Berserker, if you don't know anything about it, he is an immortal. Truly immortal in all senses of those words. And we don't know. We've seen kind of his origin story in the original series as they jump back and forth in time. But in this one, it's a specific tale about his time serving the king of Atlantis. who he met as a boy, just deposed young king, and he puts him back on the throne and promises to protect him. And the cover's a little bit spoilery there, but there's a creature that is summoned, and that I'm pretty sure you can figure out that maybe he might be able to vanquish that too. So it's full of blood and guts, and he has to put it, like, literally there's a part in the book where he has to, like, ask his guts to pull themselves back into his body so he can reattach his legs so he can go defeat Cthulhu. So yeah, this is, if you didn't get to read it and you're thinking to yourself, do I need this to add this to my Berserker collection? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
This is the one where he fights Dr. Zoidberg.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh my gosh, this looks so cute!
This book gave me diabetes.
It was so sweet.
No, I'm kidding. So here's the deal. You know that thing, cats and dogs living together, it's madness?
Mm-hmm.
From, what is that movie?
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Cats and pickles living together, it's madness. What do cats and pickles have to do with it? I have no idea. But the premise of this book is that pickles love cats and cats are terrified of pickles. Pickles just want to be loved, everybody, and the cats are not having it.
Nope.
So the pickles are trying to get the cats to like them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going about it in all the wrong ways. But it still winds up working out for good for the cats. There's a story in here about a cat who climbed Mount Everest, but was beaten by a pickle climbing Mount Everest.
Okay.
And when they're scared of the pickle, they run down Mount Everest in world record time, so they still get a world record.
Have you ever seen the plushies that are part of this phenomena?
I have not.
They're like little beanie butt ones, and they come in blind bags, and they are so addictive. It's just that same kind of, like, remember Beanie Babies? You just like to hold them because they were so nice in the hand. These are like, the cats are the main characters, and they're all like, they've done lots of different sets of them, but like, you can find a cat that looks like he's got a chessboard on him, or a cat that looks like a taco. There's lots of cool ones. And then as the chase characters, there's the pickles. But it's so funny. Unlike the chase figures for almost every other set, where, like, people are like, I must have the chase. No one buys the pickles.
See, I would only want the pickles.
I have so many pickles.
Like, it's one of those things that, like, if you exist on Pickle Talk on TikTok, which I do, or you're a fan of pickles as a snack food, which I am, or, you spent time working for Vlasic, which I have, this book is for you. Also, if you have a weird relationship with cats, this book is also for you. Also, if you like animals and vegetables doing people things, this book is for you. I'm buying this book for my nephew, who is 3, and I'm buying this book for me, who is not. So, great, really good book. This, guys, by the way, this is from one of the companies that Dynamite is partnered with to do all ages kids books. So this is actually a Dynamite publication through one of those imprints that they work with. I forget the name of the company at this point, but just know that that's kind of where this lives.
Also, just as a heads up, Edwards mentioned it, but I did not know anything about cats and their relationships to cucumbers or pickles. But someone told me I have to just look up cats and cucumbers on YouTube to see that there's a huge amount of them in which owners lay down a cucumber behind their cat who's not paying attention, and the cat turns around and jumps 10 feet into the sky. I had no idea that cats have such an aversion to pickles.
Where's my phone? Amanda has 2 cats. I need you to set cucumbers. Jay, talk about the Rocketeer while I arrange a social experiment.
Okay. So we start this one out in a field with Cliff fixing to take off in the rocket pack. He's got the whole Rocketeer gear on. He starts off pretty good, and the next thing you know, he's getting whacked in the face by branches. And you find out he's actually daydreaming in a plane, and he's flown into a tree. So naturally, when he lands, he gets reprimanded for it, and he takes the plane to the hangar to have PV fix it up. And he comes back later, and he can't find PV anywhere. But what he does find is a Nazi pendant, because if two things go together, it's Rocketeer and Nazis. But this can only mean PV's been kidnapped. Cliff tries to get help, but he gets the runaround from a number he's given. He goes to a military base, and they're like, "We don't know what you're talking about. Get out of here." He gets thrown out. So from the base he was thrown out of, the head guy that was there ends up showing up later, and he's like, "Hey, sorry about all that. It's politics, smoke and mirrors. We have to keep this on the down low. But I'm going to get you away to Germany so you can try to get PV back." Where this leaves off is PV basically being held in this castle and being told by one of the head Nazis there, I guess that's who she is, that he's basically going to build them their own rocket pack. Or there's a character, I'm not sure if it's his daughter, but you do this or we're going to unalive this person. So PV decides, okay, I'm going to build something that's going to blow you away. And that's how they end the book. Rocketeer is just a good book. Like everyone that we've read so far, whether it was on, in stores this week or here, these have all been good. So if you're a Rocketeer fan, definitely pick this one up.
All right. Just want to say hi to Kenneth and Barlord. Saw you guys pop in. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. So this is King Kong, The Great War, number 3. So following number 2, we're on an island. I think it's supposed to be Skull Island. However, they don't tell you that it's Skull Island. In fact, it is more like the island from what they call on TikTok Jurassic Park or Jurassic Park, because there's dinosaurs. A lot of dinosaurs.
Yes.
And the dinosaurs are totally destroying all of the people. Like, just wreaking havoc until something starts to scare the dinosaurs. You would think that thing would be King Kong. It is not.
Oh.
It's a giant spider.
Oh.
At which point I had to set the book down and walk away for a minute because it got too scary. Then I came back and basically the Great War seems to be between King Kong, people, and these other creatures that are King Kong-esque in their existence. So giant spiders, dinosaurs, there's a pterodactyl. Like I don't know who the war is against, but it just seems to be more Royal Rumble than Great War, and I'm here for it. Because this book, I'll be honest, I don't even know if this book had words in it. I'm sure it did, but you didn't need them.
Was it the humans saying, ah?
I have no idea, because I never read them. The pictures, the art by whoever does the art in this book, it's not listed on my website where I have my notes. Tommaso Bianchi. Of course. It's so good. You don't need the words to read the story. The pictures do it all. It really is just a phenomenal, this could be a silent issue just with spider noises and dinosaur noises and King Kong noises.
What are spider noises, Kyle?
Nightmares.
Maybe just people go ah! As they're pinched by spider fangs. You know, like it right. It's but no, I tell you, this was great. And again, I don't know what the storytelling is happening. I don't remember reading the book. I just remember looking at the pictures, but they're all seem to be battling for control of this island. And whoever wins, they're going to have some fun bones to play with, I guess, because everything is dead.
Yeah. Oh, big game. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this yet, but you should. I am super obsessed with everything that Mark Millar does, writes, all these creative things. And if you didn't know all the things he's touched, you might kind of get a good clue from this. This is a very like Donny Cates' crossover in its scope, but it primarily focuses in on everything from the Millar universe. So Kick-A, Kingsman, Chrononauts, the stuff that's like he's still doing, Ambassadors. So this is really all of them trying to figure out what is going on with the big bad. They've all been thrown together. There's time travel that's involved. You would think that it's a big hot mess by the way I'm describing it to you, but the way it is written and the way the characters are kind of interacting with each other, you're like, of course they're all in the same universe. Of course they make sense together. Superheroes and super spies and billionaires and all this stuff. It's just so masterful. You guys know if I'm reading number 2s and 3s and 4s or whatever for review, that it's really that good. But I will do a slight spoiler in here. At the end of, I believe, crossover number 1, there is what this seems to be a very non-image character that shows up in Cates' book, which also shows up in this book. For anyone that read that series.
Okay. I imagine that if you're Wednesday Addams, your life is really, really weird compared to everyone else's, but still somehow monotonous and mundane and boring for you.
You bastard.
So here's the deal. This is a one shot from IDW, and it feels like the Addams Family cartoon show, that exists, and some of the animated features that have come out. It doesn't at all feel like the Wednesday program or Addams Family Values or any of the Christina Ricci Addams Family or even any of the old school Addams Family cartoon TV shows. This feels specifically like the animated universe. But the story is basically Wednesday is bored. And, her parents are being weirdly affectionate like they always are, making everyone uncomfortable. And Uncle Fester is being Uncle Fester, making everyone uncomfortable. And Pugsley is the subject of her torture. And
as all little brothers are.
Well, she is trying to find new and exciting ways to play with Pugsley. The book opens with her having him in a guillotine. And the blade comes down and it just cracks and breaks over his head and doesn't actually decapitate him. And then they pan to another panel where there's 7 more blades that also were unable to decapitate him. They said they played executioner, and they hung each other each 7 times and no one lost so much as a limb. Like, everything is boring, Mom. We need new toys. But they're Addams Family toys. And it's a one-shot, just kind of fun Addams Family book that is just kind of goofy, turn your brain off fun. Unless you're really into Torquemada, in which case maybe use this as a handbook.
Oh my gosh. This
Must
is such a
face
cute
the
one.
beast.
It's the best. All right, what happens if a bad guy shows up and manages somehow to overpower Lockjaw, and the rest of the animals from Marvel get together? So that's the pizza dog down there from Hawkeye. You've got Red Wing, that is Captain America's sidekick there. You've got a Flurkin, and it shows on the cover of the ghost dog from Strange, but he's not in this issue yet, so hopefully later. As you can see, there is a little bit of Kraven action up there at the top. This is really, really fun romp where it's from point of view of the animals. So it's them talking. There's no real human interaction except for the one bad guy. And it is just all the cute. But it's serious. There's like stuff at stake here. But it was like, what if the pets were the main characters of their own story?
And it's written by Kyle Starks. So the humor is going to be right.
So good. And also, we're continuing on with the storylines that are post Hellfire Gala. This is Realm of X. This is a group of mutants that did step through the ring and ended up in a realm that I'm not going to tell you what it is, because that's part of the storyline that's unraveling. And weirdly is this kind of related to another book this week you don't expect it to be related to, which is awesome. It includes like magic. She's there, and I'm trying to remember whether their important characters are. It's an important part of the storytelling, because you get to see what happens to some of the people actually. Where were they sent? If they were subject to the calling of Professor X, as he calls them, through the rings to try to save humanity, because that's the thing that Orcus used against them. It says for every mutant that he finds on Krakoa, he'll kill humans. So of course, Prof X isn't going to let that happen. He knows what that means. It's going to be even more trouble. So this is a group that gets sent elsewhere. It's a really good tale.
Okay. By the way, in case you guys are wondering, I didn't put these in any kind of order other than the order that the images saved on my computer.
All good.
So Jay's just going to sit here for a while and be like, The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, a.k.a. the longest title in comics. Here's what I learned reading this book, because I can't really go into too much details kind of really just explaining what happens because it will spoil it. But Christopher Chaos is what would happen if H.P. Lovecraft's Reanimator built his powers like Spider-Man built his web shooters. Kinda. But there's still like a level of like science fiction horror, not extraterrestrial, but like ephemera. Like there are these ghost guys that look vaguely like the security forces from the Hunger Games meets the Shadow meets fancy suit wearing Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And they can somehow walk through trees and stuff. Like they're ghosts, but they're not ghosts. I'm not 100% sure what they are. They're just freaky looking. But like you find out that some of the powers that these characters have, they've created themselves. Christopher Chaos has done that, but also has some of his own powers as well that he doesn't really understand in this sort of coming of age tale. So if you're looking for a framework to put around it, it's Reanimator meets Spider-Man with actual supernatural.
Yes. In the framework of high school.
Oh, yeah. And they're like 14 and like teen angsty and, everything is awful, but, it's that thing that Jay has been saying forever with this book. It's just weird enough that I want to keep reading, but it's not interesting enough for me to actually be a fan of. So I'm waiting to see where it comes out. I will say this: Tate Bromwell's art really kind of reaches its zenith in this book. Like, it really starts to become the Tate Bromwell art that I've expected thus far that I haven't quite gotten. It really sort of finds its stride and starts to come together. And so the fact that Tinian may be laying it on a little thin in terms of the storytelling is made up for by Tate doing just a killer job. The Penguin!
I can't even explain to you guys how much this series might be my new favorite thing that DC's ever done. I feel like Penguin Zero was last week. So it's a surprise to have Penguin #1 this week, which that's great because I was super hyped about it then. So this is the very best, most scary version of the way the Penguin is perceived in the DC universe. When last we saw him in issue 0, Catwoman had found herself kind of needing to step up and kind of be holding off everybody else as there's a big hole in the power struggle of Gotham. And at the end of that issue, spoiler alert, you can cover your ears, you see that Batman is caught up with him. He's not actually dead. And so this starts out with that. It's like right after that action, they've both been critically injured. They're in the Bat boat and they are sinking. So it starts that way, and then it goes through the main body of the story is like things that happened before that exact moment. So you get to see interactions that he has in his power position with people like the Tailor, who says something stupid. And during that time is when the Penguin's supposed to have gone straight. So he's just not knowing how to, the Tailor doesn't know if what he said is going to get him killed, his family killed, his kids killed. It's all going through his head. Everybody in the kind of like circle of anywhere near the Penguin is terrified of him. It's very, very clear. And even when he says he's gone straight, nothing's going to happen. So this storyline is so dark and very severe. And it's just everything that I wanted, right? DC for the longest time for me was just a race to a battle. And there's no battle in this book. It's all about exposition and character development and just the terror that builds understanding this character and his interaction with Gotham itself. It's so, so good. I can't even explain.
Excuse me. I just want to say, I watched the Batman 66 episode with the Penguin the other day, played by Burgess Meredith. And I will say this, Burgess Meredith acted circles around those guys. All right. Magic Planeswalkers Notorious. I swear, Jay, your books are in here. So there's two stories here. The first one is an Elspeth story written by Rich Duick. I'll be honest, maybe not the greatest Elspeth story ever told, but it is kind of a fun play on like the Rumpelstiltskin kind of mythos where you have a shapeshifter and a riddle and a labyrinth. But the second story is Soren and Nissa. No. Soren and... I had to text somebody about this. Basically, the second story is your dark magic story. It's your black mana planeswalkers. So Soren and...
like how it's going to make crazy.
Liliana. Anyway, but it's written by Cullen Bunn. So all of the dark magic, all of the horror you expect from those two planeswalkers are really kind of put together in a great way by Cullen Bunn's natural horror style. I will say this is a one-shot, but both of these stories do a pretty great job of sort of explaining planeswalking, which isn't something that, like, if you just played the card game, really matters to you. But if you get into the mythos of Magic, the ability to walk between planes that planeswalkers have is super important. And you find out in the first story that they're not the only ones who can cross planes necessarily. Even gods can't, planeswalkers can, but we find a character in this book that also can, that is neither of those.
Oh.
So that's very interesting. And then the second story, what you find is that the dark magic that Nissa and Soren use have this sort of deleterious effect on the world around them. That's very interesting. That again, if you don't get into the mythos of Magic the Gathering, you would never really realize. So this is one of those that if you're into the storytelling that goes with the different worlds of Magic the Gathering, this is a great book. If you're not, if you just want to play the card game, I would say maybe a less is more is a thing here. The less you know, the happier you are, because otherwise you're going to think about, why am I playing these two cards together? This doesn't work. It's going to be bad. Well, sometimes you got to.
Oh, caught me off guard. Finally got a book.
So I have to, can I air a grievance between IDW and Dark Horse and myself? This book is actually titled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Stranger Things #2. Where is the X on the cover?
Nowhere.
There isn't one. So if you need to look this book up, don't forget the X, even though literally all the editors, all the publishers, all the designers, all the artists all forgot it. It took me 45 minutes to find this cover art to make this PowerPoint.
Goodness. So, super interesting because I hadn't read the first one yet, but this one starts off with Hopper telling Elle, who's just woken up, hey, I'll let you sleep in. You know, today's going to be a day that you can do whatever you want. All you got to do is make it through this door. Now, right there, I'm like, what is going on there? But they explain that later. We cut to Max, Dustin, and Donatello trapped in a facility. They're all in separate rooms, and they're trying to figure out how to get these doors open. And the next thing you know, Raph just comes in and busts through doors. He's like, well, the locks may be hard to break through, but the doors aren't. So he's just smashing through doors. And they escape and they start sneaking their way around the facility. Then we meet up with Mike, Lucas, Michelangelo, and Leonardo. And they're heading towards a subway car that apparently is a gateway to the Upside Down. And while they're inspecting it, they get attacked by Demogorgons. We go back to the ones in the facility, and they come to this room where they see Baxter Stockman and Elle attached to these machines. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it because I feel that if I tell you anything else about this, it's going to spoil it for you. I am definitely going to go back after reading this one, get that first issue, because there is something about these mashups that should not work with the Turtles, but for me, they almost always do. And this is no exception. I thought this was really great. Be sure to check this one out if you haven't yet.
If Baxter Stockman turns out to be part Demogorgon, I quit.
All right, this is Mary Machine Gun, not Machine Gun Mary. Don't make that mistake. From what I could tell before I quit reading halfway through the book, she is a nun who is hiding in plain sight in her convent and killing vampires, etc. And mostly it's just a book with scantily clad women and almost covered up sex scenes and stuff. You know, I am all about adult content, but this one just felt like there was no real story and there was just a reason to, you know, show nuns in weird positions. I couldn't do it. But hey, if you are looking for a little titillation, this book is probably for you this week.
Cheesecake.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's Jean Grey. Oh, this one's awesome. Okay. During the Fall of X storyline, Jean, I don't know how to explain this to y'all. She did. So it's important storyline material that you know that going in. It happened during the big takeover with Orcus and all the other stuff we've been talking about. But this book says that she doesn't actually, she figures out a way to cheat through time, goes back previous to all things, like before the mutants are really even introduced anywhere, because she has a plan in which she realizes that she is so powerful that she could like cross the line that probably she's crossed before as Phoenix, but and convince humans and mutants alike specific things that'll let you read what they are to try to prevent the hatred of humanity for mutants and the mutants that are bad guys from being bad guy mutants. So this one really allows for her, it sounds like a good plan, right? Like she's got all the right intentions, but she's crossing all the lines. You will no longer think that Scott Summers' Cyclops is the most deplorable mutant. It's great.
I don't believe that to be true.
Yes. Okay. Hey, this series is great. Before I even get into the review, I'm super biased on this one. This is an amazing series. Super biased. But so we ended the previous issue of this with Launchpad's compass getting stolen, and Darkwing Duck and Neptunia, they're racing against each other to see who can get it back first. We begin this one in the Thunderquack with Darkwing, Goslin, and Launchpad, and they've flown over this island like 3 or 4 times, same island. And the reason is Launchpad doesn't have his compass, and apparently without that compass, doesn't matter if there's any instruments on the Thunderquack, he can't find his way. So they end up landing on this island. And at first, Darkwing's kind of acting like it's kind of like a mini vacation, but they're trying to convince Launchpad to just buy a new compass, and he can't. Every time he gets close to it, he just breaks down because his compass is super special to him. Finally, Darkwing just decides, you know what? I'm just going to buy it for him. Since he can't buy it, I'll buy it for him. So he buys it, but then Launchpad basically tells them, I can't fly. It's not my compass. I can't fly. Then we get a surprise cameo from another Justice Duck, which I won't name. I'm gonna let you find that out for yourself. But they come in and they're like, I'll fly for you. So they had a clue to where the compass thief was headed. So they get there. They get lost in the maze. They lose Launchpad somewhere. And then they fight Yeti Ducks. And that's where I'll leave you. This is such a great series. I've been saying this from every single issue. I was a Darkwing Duck kid. Watched that cartoon religiously. This is just the perfect continuation of that series. So, just awesome.
I've never tried harder to not listen to a review on this show because I'm reading this book when I get home before I go to bed. I'm so excited about more Launchpad.
Were you thinking about baseball?
No, I was just trying really hard not to listen.
Oh, Night Terror has been so good. Okay, so this is issue 4 of a series that has had this main series, and then most every single DC book has had its own books that go along with it. Like Harley Quinn has her own. Hey, Salazar. and like Zatanna, Wonder Woman, and Batman. Everybody's got their own titles. So all of those issues are in their issue number 2s. So you know what you got to hunt down if you're going to try to hunt it. There is a character named Insomnia who is currently at Arkham, who has put themselves to sleep and brought everybody in Arkham into a dream state. So some of the characters are trying to stay awake so that they don't become affected by insomnia. Basically, insomnia gives them the biggest nightmares that they could possibly imagine. Death Man is main character for this, and I don't know why I said Death Man. Dead Man. And in this one, Dead Man's been kind of like taking over Batman's body on the regular, and Robin's running around with them. And so there's like always this confusion because Batman's always saying, "No, I'm really your dad now, and I'm to tell you something really kind and nice and thing a dad would say." But then, Robin stabs him and says, "No, you're dead man. Come out of my..." Yeah. But anyway, so that's part of the terror part of it. So in this book, it becomes more clear about the nightmare realm that everybody is in, who's actually there, and how far it reaches, and those kinds of things. It's a really good surprise event that's been happening this summer. Usually events that happen during the summer for, like, DC hasn't had a lot of luck with that before, thinking of Convergence. But this one is just picking up more and more steam. I keep on seeing more and more people trying to hunt down the issues they've missed. So you can still get in. I have a feeling that this is going to actually have implications for the main universe for a while. At least that's what Tim Seeley says. On Prometheus and Chains, we've been waiting a long time for this number 2 to come out. It's just been, normal delays in printing schedules, etc. This is from Rich Davis, who brought you Culture Dracula, etc. And this one, it is really kind of a love tale in which the Frankenstein's, like the doctor you're used to, is not really a mad scientist necessarily. He is a very loving husband, and his wife has died. And he's desperately trying to find a way to reanimate her body. So it's a very unique tale. It's not, I make it sound so simple the way I'm telling you this, but it's a really rich tale, and the characters that are like interacting with them. There's a little bit of a storyline about the characters as they relate to the horrible part of our history with Nazi Germany and the Jewish internment camps. So if you have a week, like, I don't like to see that part of the world, then this is going to be what's already, dead people that are being reanimated. So probably already know you're getting into horror, but yeah, this is really great.
The thing that they don't say in this book, his name is Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
All right. So this is Towers of London, Here There Be Dragons. Because apparently we can't have enough books where Here There Be Dragons. There's a Godzilla book where there's some dragons. There's several books where there be dragons. This continues the Rivers of London version of that, though. This is a number 2. And here's the deal. And I'm not going to get into the plot because, again, you can't do it without just ruining the book for people. Doctor Who meets Supernatural with dragons.
Perfect.
That's all you need to know. Doctor Who meets Supernatural with dragons.
Hey, Phil. The Schlub.
I'm so excited to hear about this book. I can't even begin to tell you.
It's one of those books that I'm like, I like it, but I don't. It's, for me, it needs something a little bit extra. Maybe it's because it's got as a main character a dentist. So that guy down the bottom is a dentist. He's by way of introduction to his character. Every panel of this book is so full of stuff. Like, you feel like you need to go back and relook at it to see what's going on in every single panel. But the main action is him kind of being an easily distracted dentist, as he's got a lady in the chair, fully like her mouth, like with all those prongy things open up. And meanwhile, he's on the phone with his ex, trying to, like, I don't know, get hooked up or whatever. I'm not sure. And meanwhile, outside the window, he realizes that one of his competitors is moving in, like within striking distance of his practice. And they have a giant billboard that's all he can see out of his window. So he's super mad about that. But also there is a mega superhero, which is that guy that's right above him. And the main bad guy that he fighting outside and ends up crashing through the wall. And the dentist picks up an object that he touches, and things happen because of that, which means that they switch bodies, the superhero and the dentist. And that's no good. It's no bueno. Because I don't think the dentist is going to give that body back. I'm just thinking.
Steggy has been working on this forever.
Mm-hmm.
He's had this idea and he's wanted to do this for a long time. I think partnering with Kenny Porter might have been the smartest thing he ever did, because I would say this to his face: "Your writing needs a little work, buddy. Why don't you stick to drawing the Venoms?" But well, you got to remember, I've known Ryan for 15, 16, 17 years probably at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I would give him a hard time anyway. But
Sure.
he's had this idea, and at one point he pitched it to me at a karaoke party after a Comic-Con, and I went, okay, so when you make that book, can you make the schlub kind of look like me? And he went, yeah, that seems fair. And then he didn't, but I'm okay with it.
Ooh, look at that art. Woo!
That's great art. Well, I'm looking for my notes real fast. That DC Night Terrors, Boston brand Dead Man. So underutilized. Love that. I'm gonna have to pick that one up.
Yeah, he's the main character through the whole series. So if you like that character and you don't think he's been around enough, then you should totally jump in.
Absolutely. So Vampirella versus the Superpowers. This has been one of my favorite Vampirella books. This one starts out with Agent Delaney and Vampirella, which they call her Ella, her companion Taja, showing up at Mr. Fix's mansion, or at least what's left of it. If you read the previous issue, looking for Ella and Agent Sabitzer, I believe is his name. They find Sabitzer in a state. I'll leave it at that. And they go into the burning mansion to find Ella, and they run into Fix-It's Hulk-like girlfriend. I believe her name is Frayne, but when she's in this certain form, she makes noises. She doesn't say words. It's just kind of reminds me of the Hulk. They find her. She jumps down. She's going to attack them. Well, Taja reveals who she really is. Now, if you read Superpowers, I think you already know who the character is. Myself, I think I've only read one other one, so I didn't remember. But she reveals who she really is and ends up beating Frayne. We then see that Ella's all right. She has Mr. Fix kind of beaten down, and she reveals that he's actually working for someone else. And near the end of the book, you find out who the big fish actually is, and it's definitely a twist I did not see coming. So I'm really excited to get into the next issue to see where this story goes. If you're a Vampirella fan, a Superpowers fan, this is a great book. You should definitely check this one out.
This was the only Vampirella trade that was out this week.
Oh, wow.
This
Okay.
was the problem with not knowing what Vampirella book you read, because it was Vampy and then Vampy.
Yeah.
This is not the Vampirella book you read.
No.
Good. Okay.
Oh, Venom. All right. Weirdly, the black slimy Venom does not appear in this book in any way because it's red. You know that Eddie's been carrying around red symbiote with him, who, when he combines with it, becomes Oh, it's a B name. Dadgummit, I should have written it down. Doesn't matter because it's a killer looking symbiote. So he shows up somehow in the sovereign nation of, is it Latveria or Latvia? What is Doom's world? It's Latveria, right?
I think so.
Kyle's gonna look it up. I don't want to misname his country because I don't want to make
What am I looking up?
Dr. Doom's country. Latveria, right?
That sounds right. Yeah, Latveria.
Yeah, Bedlam. Oh, that's right. Bedlam's the name of the character. So, Eddie shows up. He gets called out by one of the Doombots, who he, the Doombot gets in big trouble because he doesn't catch that he's not actually like the made up name that he says that he is. So this is mostly about Bedlam getting to come out to play. Eddie showing his full power because Eddie also has he's the king of the symbiotes. He has all the power you could possibly imagine. He become a symbiote dragon and all kinds of stuff, but he chose Bedlam. So this one ends with some big twisty stuff. You know that they're building up to something big in 25, so you might be able to guess from the cover what's going on. Thank you, Eddie, for confirmation.
All right, Jay, what was the last Vampirella book you read? Because no one knows.
It was called. Dang it! Hold on, I just had it. Interstellar. Yeah, it says Volume 3, Interstellar.
No idea. Why don't you tell us about it, and then if people can remember, they can go buy it.
Yeah. This one's going to be another brief one because, again, apparently I was real good at picking books that were like almost 200 pages this week. But we start this one off with Vampirella talking to a psychiatrist. And this psychiatrist just really doesn't believe anything that's being said to him. He thinks that this is like a trauma-induced psychosis that's going on. And when it looks like we're getting to the end of the session, Vampirella gets up, leaves, and it feels like the doc goes and he sits in a chair, and it feels like he just sat down, shut his eyes for like a second. Next thing you know, there's a knock on the door, and it's Vampirella again. So the doc asks, "Did you forget something? You were literally just here." He goes, "Actually, it's already been a year." So I don't know if there's some weird time warp going on with this or what, but then there's another section. I guess he doesn't find it too weird and tells her to lay back down on the couch. And she gives kind of an origin story. Well, maybe not really an origin story, but maybe like a quick character synopsis on Draculina and how Draculina came to be. Then it ends with.
I know.
Yeah. It ends with Vampirella talking about the human that came to her planet that she ends up saving and takes him back to our planet. That's how she gets here, and she's stranded. She lives here for a while, and then she decides she wants to go back home. Well, she tries to track this guy down, and he doesn't work at the lab that apparently he worked at. She later finds out that he's gotten sick and is living in like this rehab center. Well, the small complication with even finding him in the rehab center is apparently she's already been on Earth for 50 years. So this guy's like 80-something years old now. And it kind of ends with that, with the doc being like, "Well, how old are you?" And then that story ends. So this was kind of cool. It was very different. It's a very different book, but I thought it was kind of cool.
All right, so I'm going to give a piece of advice to anyone. If you're interested in that Vampirella Interstellar book, go to your local comic shop and ask about it, because best I can tell, it didn't come out this year. So they may have to order it for you. Now, it may have been supposed to come out last year because of printing and, the number of things that happen. It's just now hitting shelves. But if you're interested, just go ask your local comic shop. Just don't, because you don't see it, go, well, I guess not. Sure, ask and see if they can order it for you. Because it sounds very interesting for a Vampirella story. So, all right. That's all the books.
Oh, man. That was a lot of goodies.
That's everything. So it's super important to us here at The Experience that you visit your local comic shop. If you don't know where your local comic shop is, you could go to Space Cadets Collection. They ship all over the place. Or you could go to comicshoplocator.com. Comicshoplocator.com and type in the 5-digit number that's associated with the area where you are. Is that your zip code? I can never remember. Your zip code, and it will tell you where there are comic shops nearby to you. I can never remember area code versus zip code versus 5-digit.
Longest description for a zip code ever. A 5-digit number that's associated with where you live.
Right. The zip code of the area where you are, and find a local comic shop nearby to you. Give them a call before you head in. Make sure their hours are what they say they are, and all of that kind of stuff. We will be back next week, where I promise I will know what a zip code is, and we will try to know when all the books came out.
Yeah.
So, for Jay and Miss Jen, I've been Kyle.
Bye, y'all.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere The Experience is all the time.